Press 2 to connect the call.
That's super, George. Mhm. Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another live coding show of CodeTap. I'm your host, Marian, and today we are going to talk a bit about coding. And this is a perfect place where you can jump in and ask questions about how it is to be a coder, or if you want to build a website and have some coders or web developers do it for you. You can feel free to ask questions, and I'll help you out. Yeah. Andrei, are you still on? Could you see if Mist Razvan Mocano, could you see if he's online and he wants to join? So let's see. How was my weekend so far? We had a barbecue for CodeTap Studio. We had some students over, present and past. Of course, we did jokes. We had fun. I'm a vegan and I don't drink alcohol, so the rest of them had even more fun than I did. And we had Razvan over. He's the student that managed to get a job from zero to hired in 1 month and 17 days, or at least it was from zero to job offer, because he got hired a bit later, but he got a job offer less than 2 months since he started. We also had Flavius. I believe Flavius is in an interview today. So I believe Flavius is in an interview today. And we also had Bogdan. and of course Dorin. Dorin is one of the students that started from Romania and then joined the UK. That's cool. We did had pretty much a very good weekend. One that had to rest for the entire Saturday after that. So we also did progress on CodeTap Academy. CodeTap Academy so far has been built from scratch online, so you can watch every step of building CodeTap in the live shows that we do every day or almost every day. Because Sunday we did no coding show, so we aim to do it every day anyway. Yeah. So how's Razvan Mukano doing? Yeah, so a bit of silence, of course, because I had to deal with something over here in the car. So today, what are we about to do today in the live coding show that I hope it will happen sometime later? Yeah, how do I know it's green now? Okay. So in the live show that we are about to do later will be either a bit of cleanup in the code, or maybe I'll do a task for that, a task to clean up the code. It will also be to add avatars to the live chat that we have on CodeTap.academy, and as well as maybe grouping messages from the same person. Last name has ended, of course. Why not? Messages from the same person. Woohoo! How's it going, Andre? Any movement over there?
Hello.
Hey, Levan, how are you?
Not bad, not bad. Still trying to stay awake.
Really? Did you have a long night as well?
Yeah, I haven't slept in about 20 hours.
I think I only slept for 3 hours, so not far away from your neighborhood.
Yeah.
Yeah. How are you doing with the coding? Did you manage to sort out that CSS issue?
Yeah, definitely. That was actually pretty easy. Um, I was just not paying attention to what I was doing.
Okay.
And right now I'm trying to wrap up this project. It's pretty much I'm down to the menu. Probably about another hour or so before I finish and get done with it.
That's nice. So would you like to share with us What went wrong with that CSS and how did you solve it?
I've actually had multiple issues, so can you remind me which one it was?
Well, we're about to meet up yesterday to help you solve out some CSS that wasn't working. That's all I know.
Oh, right, the flexing part. Okay, so basically what happened, I was trying to organize, um, let's say a button that had two parts in it, basically two divs. And I wanted
Okay.
one bit to the left, one bit to the right. The bit on the left would have a text, a label, and the one on the right would just have a close button. And I couldn't manage to line them up for some reason. I was trying with Flex. I tried to make a table and sort them that way. They just would not line up in any way.
No,
Eventually,
no, no tables, no tables. Stay away
yeah.
from tables.
Well, I was trying everything. I was just, you know, trying to figure out what works and why, and then try to work from there.
Okay, okay. So, as far as you said, you had two elements inside the bigger one, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And trying to align them one to the left and one to the right, assuming that both widths of those elements summed together was lesser than the proper, right?
Yeah, exactly. So that was one of my main problems. So the one on the left would have a width, a maximum width, well, a width of 80%, and the one on the right, obviously, if my math is right, should only have 20%. But anything
Yep.
above 10% would actually put it outside the box. And I didn't really know why. I was looking for margins, I was looking for padding, maybe that would add up. It was nothing like that. Eventually, I floated one of the elements to each side, and it kind of fixed itself.
Okay, so two things to stay away from. Stay away from tables, stay away from floats. Yeah. So,
Yeah, but
definitely float was long, long, long time ago. So many, many years ago when I was a child.
well, if it still
An
works
instrument,
today.
yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't. So it was an instrument to be used from time to time in sorting out layouts. We no longer use that. I'm
Yeah.
gonna help you master the display flex and display grid ones, and you'll never have to think about floats again, unless you're gonna think about floats for the purpose that they were built, which is to flow text around, let's say, images and so on, or whatever, shapes.
Yeah.
So let's give up that floats for a second. Floats are a nightmare, and as soon as you start using them, you'll have to clear floats a lot, and then you'll have to do more and more and more stuff to it, and usually it's one of the nightmares. Another one would be Z-index. Stay away from Z-index. Stay away from floats. Stay away from tables, and only use them when you really know 100% what they do, and you have no other option. If you have any
Yeah.
other option, don't use them. Cool.
I
So
was
now let me get back to that of yours. You put a display focus on the wrapper, right?
yeah.
And you do just justify content space around, and that adds space between your first element and the second element. And if you want to have, let's say, the one of the elements, let's say the right one to 20%, or maybe to 80 pixels, I don't know, whatever, right?
Yeah.
You assign a width to that one, and for the first element, you do flex grow one, and it
Oh, so
will take all the available width.
I see. Okay, so it's Flex Grow. I couldn't. I was looking for documentation on a bunch of websites about Flex and Flex, inline Flex and all that, but I wasn't really sure I was understanding what it's saying. They even gave samples. I tried out some code, but it didn't really work. So eventually, yeah, I found the float, and that was pretty much the only thing that worked. But I don't have a firm grasp on Flex yet. I kind of had an idea of how tables work, and that was because I've worked with tables all my life, basically. So that's
But
why that was my go-to solution, but then I realized maybe this is not for me.
Well, as long as it's working, it's fine. It's just not the best approach in a team and in a 2019 project. But as long as it works, it's fine. Um, During a code review, you'd be able to refactor it.
Yeah.
However, it does work. So I have to say congratulations for that, for making it work. Others might not even make it work, which,
Well,
yeah.
thank you. Not
And
only that, but it actually looks pretty nice.
on top of that, uh, you also did lots of research. Well, I think you did lots of research regarding display flex. So it's a
Yeah.
double win.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I have to practice with it.
Well, everybody does.
Yeah.
Cool, cool. Oh, getting there, right? So this one is my CV, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I did a lot of research last night, actually, with all sorts of hovers and stuff like that and the effects. So I was just adding CSS stuff. Now, right now, my website, even though like it's supposed to be a professional CV, is kind of a showcase of different stuff I learned last
Yeah,
night.
yeah,
So
which is nice.
yeah. So I'm not really sure if you're looking at it right now, but if you are in front of a computer, you just move your mouse around, and there's a bunch of effects and all sorts of like in the CV project. In the CV project, you have a section called not clients, but my experience. I
Yeah,
repurposed that into my active projects, so
which is nice. Well done for that.
it
It's
kind of looks
double thumbs up.
yeah.
It's double thumbs up. Well done.
Well, thank you, thank you. It looks pretty nice. I made it. I finally decided on a style for the website with rounded edges and basically the border radius. Um, yeah, yeah.
Uh,
I
I'll
like it
interrupt you
so
for a
far.
second. Just for a second, I'll interrupt you. I
Okay.
think you should do a post on CodeTap group on Facebook. So CodeTap group on Facebook. Do a post on the ins and outs of how you approached that. My experience is you've noticed that well, you don't have that much to write over there, or you felt that it was better for it to be repurposed, and then
Yeah,
that you repurposed it in that whatever it just did there with your project. Because I had a quick look in the morning at it,
cool.
which is amazing. That's what everybody should do. If I have there a word and you have no words, well, just do I don't know hobbies, whatever, right? So
Yeah, exactly. So you repurpose it into something that still says something about you in a way. So,
exactly. So the point of it is to give you some techniques and examples to play with them and not necessarily copy me. And more or less, you can copy me or you can express yourself through those techniques. And that's exactly what you did, and that's exactly what every student should take out of this. So, triple thumbs up.
thank you, thank you.
Yeah,
It's really
that's
good.
nice. Well done.
I I love doing this. I love practicing and I love looking up stuff. Yeah. I, I've been up
So,
for
good
I've been doing this for 16 hours straight right now.
that's nice. That's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's raining here in London. How about in Constanta?
It was it was tricky. It confused us. So for the past couple of days, it's been a billion degrees outside, but also very cloudy and humid. And it
Ah,
would look like at any moment it would just burst into rain, but it hasn't. And we're all kind of just waiting for the first drop of rain to fall. That's pretty much it.
that's nice. By the way, do you see the feed that I'm sending?
Not really, no. Right now I was not focusing.
No, I'm where I'm traveling to, the journey to work.
No, like I said,
And
I'm not watching. So
that's cool. That's cool.
there we go.
Yeah.
I finally opened up YouTube and I'm watching you. Wow, it looks rainy.
Yeah, it does. Fun, fun. So tonight, we didn't do live coding in the morning. I was watching that clock being 7 and being 5 and being 6 and so on. So I woke up too many times, and because I went to sleep at 3 or 4 a.m., I wasn't really not in the mood of dealing with coding. So one thing is to be a bit tired, and one thing to be close to incapable of doing something. So
Yeah.
we'll be doing one later on. We have two more issues to sort out. You or anybody else, if you're into it, will be sorting them out. And then, unless something else arises while we solve those issues, we'll create more wireframes, and as well as more issues out of those wireframes. So
Sounds good.
I think we'll start touching a database in 1 or 2 days.
Sweet. I have a
Right.
little bit of experience with databases, but I'm willing to learn, so
We won't be dealing with the old databases. We'll be dealing with the new ones.
what sort of database are we using?
I think we'll start with Firebase, and later on, whenever Lawrence will jump in with something compelling and crazy and real time and
Huh.
something that is better than the choice that I'll make, which is Firebase, we'll see about that one as well. I'm also looking into not just Firebase, I'm also looking into Elasticsearch, so we'll see.
Mm-hmm. Sounds good. Sounds really good.
Yeah, fun. There will be
So,
lots of challenges.
yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, it's a big project, and yeah, I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to see it done. I saw you asked the group for ideas for simple um, web apps and whatnot,
Yeah.
and I saw somebody requested a live chat sort of program, which would be similar to Slack. And I'm thinking, wow, if this person thinks that's an easy web app, man, I'm so far behind on all this.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Maybe he missed the easy part and he was like, oh, I would like that.
Yeah, let's make a new OS.
Yeah, it's a lot going into a chat and not a lot more than something that's quick.
Well, yeah.
To start with, I was looking for projects that can be done more or less in one day, from idea to wireframes to issues and to solving and to publishing, and that's it.
Yeah.
I was
That's
looking for those kind of projects.
yeah. I'm actually interested in sorting out authentication. So I kind of want to see
Oh,
something with authentication done.
that's extremely easy. You'll be seeing it in 1 or 2 days.
Sweet. Yeah, I'm looking
Yeah,
forward to it.
and it will be done at the flip of a finger.
Well, yeah, it's not the most complicated of things, but there's a whole bunch of stuff that I kind of want to ask about, which for some reason I can't think of right now. I kind of need to see it to be able to formulate questions about it.
We'll be able to authenticate to start with, maybe with Google, and then Facebook, Twitter, GitHub, by phone, and by custom email.
Yeah, yeah.
So how does that sound?
That actually sounds pretty good. Once we actually get started, I want to ask you about a special type of authentication, using a specific ID type. So you don't have to input anything. It's basically your ID, but it's weird. Yeah, I kind of need to show you what I'm talking about. So right now I'm
Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
sort of doing a check versus, so it's the ID versus like a JSON list, and if the JSON contains that number, then you get authenticated. So it's a bit
Okay.
like not secure. So
You might want to look into JSON Web Token for that.
Yeah, yeah, I should. This was just something I pulled out like in a couple of hours, so I couldn't really think of a better system for what I needed it for at the moment.
Yeah. They're also called JWT or JOTS, so JSON Web Token. That's
JSON.
what you're looking for, and it will help you not with the authentication itself, like username and password. It's more like sending and receiving messages that or data that is supposed to be authenticated.
Yeah,
So once
something.
you're
Yeah.
logged in,
Okay, so that's kind of something I'm looking for, it sounds like.
cool. Although you might wait for us to do the authentication, and maybe you see the potential in the one that we are using.
Yeah,
Because at
like I
the
said,
moment we are, yeah, yeah, you go.
I've been working on this project for about 4 months now, and it's a really comprehensive, uh, let's call it plugin right now. But
Okay,
right now it's been a nightmare. I mean, I do know the philosophy of not coding, hard coding smart, kind of, but in the end, it's still a couple of thousand lines of code. So, you know, and it's streamlined. I think I refactored the entire thing about 7 times so far.
okay.
So I just kind of want to get it done already because it's been, I think I started in September last year.
That's something.
Yeah, it is, and I keep adding stuff to it. It's like a never-ending project. It's just getting more and more complicated. Not in a bad way, it just takes more and more responsibility away from you. It's a script, basically, that does stuff for you.
Is that the one that you added in your project list on
Yeah,
your
yeah,
CV?
that's the one. Yeah,
Could you remind me the name of it?
Defiance, it's called.
Defiance. Yeah. So what does it do?
Um, okay, so I don't want to say it's a bot, but it's kind of like a bot. It automates stuff in games for you, but to a certain degree and to for specific games. Now, I don't want to go
Okay.
into detail because it's kind of, but let's just say it gives you an upper hand. It gives people an advantage. However,
Okay.
I have to work with a really old framework that doesn't really have any documentation on the internet right now, so I have to figure everything out by just scrolling through it and trying to figure out what all those numbers mean. So it's a slow
Alright.
process, but yeah.
So it it is something like a clicker, right?
Uh, yeah, yeah, it doesn't. No, it does a lot more than that.
I assume it does, but that's how we started, right?
Sure, yeah. I guess yeah, it's kind of something that automates your stuff. If you remember the old games where we needed a clicker, yeah, but think of it, it's directly into the game. It doesn't really use the screen at all
Yeah,
at
yeah,
any point. It doesn't
yeah.
simulate clicks or yeah.
Which is nice.
But it's for a PvP only game, so what it does, it detects all the other players, it tells you with the distance, it tells you if you're being targeted, it does a whole bunch of stuff. It tells you what kind of attacks are being done on you or what type of attack you should do. If there's too many enemies, it actually logs you out and logs you back in after a certain amount of time to make sure you're not dying. It does a whole bunch of stuff.
Mm. That sounds like fun.
It's a pet project. I don't. The game is actually dead, so there's not a lot of people playing it. But it's just something I always wanted to do, and it was just a pet project.
That's nice.
Yeah, and just like all
It's
hobbies,
good for it teaches you a lot of skills and perseverance and research.
Well, to be honest, the amount of stuff I learned just from it, like I almost mastered inheritance and stuff like that. It's so how
Anyway,
long does it usually take you to get to work? Is that where you're going, I'm assuming?
yeah. I have another 11 minutes left. It takes me
Oh,
about 40 to 50 minutes to go, and then about an hour to come back.
I see. Why? Because of the traffic?
Yeah.
I see.
Also to
But
go, it's more or less straightforward, and to come back, it's not straightforward.
oh, I'm guessing because of
It,
one-way streets.
yeah.
I gotta say though, what I'm seeing, London is beautiful.
You're only seeing the road, but indeed it's nice. London is nice. Uh, it's clean. Something you have to get used to it, or at least cleaner.
Well, yeah, I
And
can imagine.
yeah, it has lots of nice places to visit.
One thing I
I
don't think
haven't visited.
I'll easily get accustomed to is you guys driving on the wrong side of the street.
I think it's the other way around.
Sure. It's two countries on the whole planet that drive on that side. Who do
I
you
think it's
think
more
is
than
right?
that.
No, I think
Google,
it's
Google.
like, yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
Google.
So,
There are almost half of the countries in the world.
I mean, how many countries drive on the left? Well, there's a lot.
See?
But in Europe, there's the United Kingdom, Cyprus, and Malta. That's it.
Yeah, yeah. I see. It's not just that, right?
Yeah, I mean, you have amazing countries like Botswana and Kenya that also drive on the left.
Yeah.
Who can forget Tanzania and Zimbabwe?
Well, it is on the left, so
Yeah, true, true.
some of those ones are really big. So I'm looking
Wow.
forward for this week. Let's see what progress we do. And also this week I should receive my new audio capture card.
Oh,
Hopefully I
finally.
won't get hopefully I won't get any more sound interruptions.
Yeah, that would be
And
pretty
as
good.
far as I can say, yeah, it should be good. It's getting better.
Yeah. So I'm looking at your feed and it says question of the day, learn search engine optimization. Well, are we actually going to have a course on that? Because I want to learn SEO.
Well, let's call it a big part of it you're already doing with all those projects. And while we speak about them, I also remind you about it, because most of those projects that we're going to do, including the next ones, but after quick blog, which is something for yourself or not,
Yeah.
there's one called Boost My Website, where I look online for somebody that needs my help, and I'm
Hmm.
also watching them on the web, so I'm following them on the web, either on YouTube or some other places.
Hmm.
And I find this guy Roberto Blake, and I start to rebuild one or two pages of his website, and at some point he notices that, and he asked me if I can finish his entire website. So that's what I do. I do it for let's call him a real client, although it was not the intent to be a client. He just became a client while I was doing the project.
Kind of by force.
So we achieve a perfect Google PageSpeed score for him on every web page. So it's 100% of 100% on mobile and 100% on desktop and on 100% of his web pages.
Yeah, I'm more.
His pages web page.
I kind of understand what optimization is when it comes to meta words and all that, but I'm trying to figure out if there's any specific meaning for the way the search engines, the algorithms work. Like, okay, so apparently for Google, that rating matters, right? So it's gonna move you up
Yeah.
and down the page according to that rating, no matter how relevant your result is. If you have a low rating, you're probably gonna score lower on the page, right?
No, I think it's always been half SEO and half content. So maybe now it's a third SEO and content. I'm not sure because I don't know exactly the algorithm, but it's good to do both of them. So one is the content. You can definitely have the best SEO website in the world, but if you have nothing to show,
Yeah,
nobody will come.
yeah, if the content is not relevant to what you're saying or what you're selling or whatever.
Yeah. From our point of view as web developers, we shouldn't do too much SEO anyway, because we are web developers and we are not, let's just call it marketing or
Yeah,
those kind of guys.
yeah,
So I would say let's build a website that is very friendly for the user, loads as quickly as possible for the user, and also for the client it's easy to create and maintain in terms of budget and technologies and future upgrades. So that would be, let's say, our main responsibility.
yeah.
Of course, we can also do a bit of marketing, and of course, we can do also a bit of design. But we will not be able to do marketing as good as somebody who specializes in, and we will not be able to do design as somebody who specializes in.
Well, of course,
So
obviously, and I know SEO is not necessarily part of web development, but it's just more of a curiosity of mine because I want to learn everything there is to know about websites and how they work. You know what I mean?
yeah, definitely, that's nice. That's nice because I want to do that as well. I'm always poking around into different departments and see what they do and how they do it, just for the curiosity of it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I would probably spend days in front of YouTube just looking at stuff like this, and then I'd be alone.
Yeah, so I see you got like 3 projects already in your CV, which is nice, right?
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
By the way, in your experience, you can definitely add the fact that you managed uh, network cafe, internet cafe, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, yeah.
Find the
Okay.
nice things that's relevant.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
And
yeah, I could actually add that.
in the first ones, I would say add all the ones that. But we'll discuss this because I think you were asking about sorting out your CV.
Yeah,
So we'll do that at some point. Whenever it will be about your experiences, we'll add all the ones that are relevant to the job first in reverse chronology. So last ones first. And then
yeah,
we also add the ones that are not directly related, again in reverse chronology, but only for the ones that are, let's say, related, we'll add a nice description and what were your responsibilities and so on and
yeah.
whatever. And
Okay,
for the ones that
okay.
are not directly related, maybe just maybe a short description, maybe none.
I got you. So basically, we are trying to populate the CV. If we don't have enough experience at first, when we're first building it, then we just add past past experiences, but not necessarily go into depth if they're not related to the domain.
Mm, it's sort of a way for you to provide a better description about yourself, about who you are,
Hmm.
in a more efficient way, because people don't have time to read entire CVs; they just scan them. So our intent is to build one that presents the most important information first,
Hmm.
and in the order that they are used to read it, and then everything else is nicely organized. So that's our
Sweet.
aim.
Okay, sweet. So you said it's gonna be soon, but do you have any idea how soon? Because I kind of want to build that CV and attach it to the CV website.
Well, we can
The,
do it this week.
yeah. To be honest, if you have it, you can just send me the template and I'll fill it in, and wherever we can check, we can go over it during the weekend or something, and you can tell me if I'm
Yeah, but
missing something or.
it's not about the template itself. It's about how to look at it, and
Mhm.
so you still need me unless I make a tutorial about it, and I'm planning to do one.
Oh, I
uh,
see.
yeah, because that's it. Yeah, just forward something that I sent to a recruiter, and that's it. So
Yeah.
anyway, I'm at work now. I'm at work. I'm almost at work. I'm in the parking lot. Let's catch up regarding that TV at some point, maybe today, tomorrow, I don't know, sometimes this week.
Okay.
And
You.
also
Oh wow.
some coding later.
Hold on. I think your car is hating on me right now. Doing all sorts of sensors.